Hey, Steve Mignani here doing the junkyard crawl on a 100-degree day in August in Berniston, Mass. At Berniston Auto Wrecking. But I won't melt if you won't. This is a 1972 Dodge D500 medium-duty truck. Now, when I was a little kid, you might remember this too, this is the BP Matchbox tow truck. And yes, it's the Dodge truck right there. Now this one I've actually owned since I was about 7 years old, and my little 7-year-old feet stomped this thing onto the pavement so hard that I bent the axles. Why I thought that was a good idea, I don't know. But this was my first exposure as a toy to these Dodge trucks. Now, as you might remember, these same cabs, or this styling, was used on Dodge pickup trucks from 61 through 71. And in fact, Dodge used this cab on these medium-duty trucks from 61 through 72. Now in 73, the Dodge medium trucks were totally redesigned using the second-gen cab, which was more modern, and a different nose. But one thing about these is that while the cab is the same as a D100, D200, D300 pickup, the front fenders were different in that they had extra material right here so that they could span the gap on the taller stands from the big springs. Now this one here, being a 500 series, is a, I believe it's a 4-ton. These were, sorry, a 7-ton truck. These were between 7 and 14 tons. The D400 to the D800. This one again is a D500, one step up from the bottom of the lightest version. And we know that it has the stamped Bud wheel with 5 lugs, not the 5 or 6 spoke forged wheels, which would be indicative of the heavier axles, say on a 14-tonner, the big D800. And again, this is a gas rig as well. But something about these wheels here, on the rear of this thing, there's a 4-wheel axle, basically a dually. Well, these rims are interchangeable front to back. You just flip it around and it's the outboard wheel at the rear. So the wheels can be rotated on these. So these front wheels absolutely fit the back as well. Now under the hood of this one, you could find a slant 6, but before we get to that, it's kind of cool. This is a 72, the final year, and here is 1962, a brochure on these things. And again, this is a 1 year in. So the same basic vehicle was produced. Of course, the earlier ones have the 4 headlights. After about, 69 or so, they went to a single light on this one here. And one of the cool things that's kind of interesting is that on the Dodge heavy trucks, the 1955 up cab was used well into the 70s, while the medium duty trucks used the pickup truck cab. You can see the difference in the cab, curved windshield on this guy versus the more modern pickup truck cab on the right hand side. And something also kind of neat is these old brochures just give you so much information. We did do a video on these semi-cab forward trucks a little while ago here on the channel. I believe we found a D700 or something like that. But here's the big dog. These are the heavy-duty ones, the power giants. Meanwhile, these D400 through D800s were the medium-duty family. And we can see more of it in this catalog right here. And here's the difference between the medium duties up top with the pickup truck type cab and the heavy duty stuff down the bottom with the 1955 pickup truck cab. Kind of weird that Dodge should use both cab types parallel at the same time for almost 10 years. Now under the hood on this, we could find a slant 6, believe it or not. But here, well, okay, that is a 318, but it's not just any 318. That's a truck 318, which means is heavy duty crank, forged goodies, especially exhaust manifolds. I believe they're probably going to be Inconel and hardened seats, that kind of thing. Little 2-barrel carburetor with a governor. That thing on the side right there prevents it from going over maybe 4,500 RPM. The air cleaner is not something you'll find on a Dodge Dart or a Plymouth Barracuda. That's an oil bath air cleaner right there. There's a little bit of an oil reservoir sitting in the bottom. Air gets sucked in there. Any kind of particulates get trapped in the oil and don't go into the carburetor. And the idea there is that this is a little more effective than a paper air filter in really dusty concrete plants and construction site settings. So again, it's also cheaper. You don't have a paper filament or element to change out, and it does the job. Let's come around to the side here. And one thing that's kind of nice about all Dodge pickup trucks, including the little ones, the half-tonners, is this little workspace right here, this sort of corrugated inner fender. You can sit there, put your tools here and work on the engine. Kind of a cool deal. And the hood comes all the way to the side, so it opens like that. There's no reaching over an outer fender on this type of truck. So inside, this one has The 4-speed manual transmission with a super low first gear. There it is in the middle. Rubber floor mat. And this one is a stripper. You can see again that rubber floor mat. It's also a radio delete, that rectangular plastic crate or panel. That is the block off. And up at the top right of the windshield post, that triangular rubber thing is the block off for the optional passenger side visor. Yup, you paid extra for a visor on the passenger side, whereas on the driver's side here, we can see up top that is the standard driver's side visor with a mouse nest or something, or bird's nest built in. Now the bird's nest was extra cost, didn't come standard. Something kind of cool here. This does have a 2-speed rear axle made by Spicer, and that little knob with the word Spicer shown upside down, that is what you would push or pull to engage or disengage the 2-speed rear axle. And of course the lever lock by Myco, that is the air brake set right there. Now these trucks all have VIN information. We can see right here, that's the sticker, 2/28/72. So January, February 28th, 1972. This is one of the last of this generation ever made. And here on the back side of the door pillar, here is the trim tag. It says Dodge Fargo DeSoto. Yes, DeSoto, that name continued, but Fargo was the name applied to Dodge trucks sold in Europe and Mexico, Fargo. So you might wonder, what's the heck's a Fargo? Well, there it is there. See D500 right here, but this tells us all about the front axle, the 4,000-pound axle, the rear axle is an 11. So again, this is a 5-ton truck right here. It's not one of the big 16 tonners that were the top of the line with the D800. So again, this is the Dodge pickup truck cab. This cab right here, the beauty of these things is they sit high enough away from the road that they're generally safer from rust than our pickup truck cabs, which sit about a foot lower. So these sometimes are better for finding in the junkyard for restoring a 1/2 ton or a 3/4 ton pickup truck. Now this one here has been in Massachusetts its whole life, and yeah, rust has won. So this one here is pretty well spent. But again, this cabin is basically the same thing as a pickup truck piece, but not so much with the fenders. And of course, the frame and suspension are radically different on these medium duty mid-sized trucks. So that's the story of the 1972 Dodge D500 medium duty straight truck, as they call it, 6-wheeler. This one here with the 318. You could get a 361 big block in these things. That was for larger duty. 413, it might have been available on these things. That was definitely available in the bigger trucks. But again, this one's a pretty humble work truck. You don't know what this thing did. Maybe it holds newspapers, maybe a refrigerator. Who can say? But its days are now pretty much done here at Berniston Auto Wrecking. But that's the story here. But if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel, and we'll be back with lots more tomorrow.